I'm just glad I wasn't the only one. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Whiskey in a Hammock. I'm Eric.
And I'm Chris. And today we have a special edition because we are not in our normal place. We're down in St. Augustine, hanging out at Bourbon and Boards. I'm here with Troy and Matt from Southern Glacier, and we're going to be tasting a few things, like going through Angel's Envy and Elijah Krew. But first, like what Troy's going to tell us a little bit about Bourbon and Boards.
Yeah, so where we're at is Bourbon and Boards in St. Augustine, right? So this is your place.
That's correct.
Let's hear about it.
All right.
Well, be prideful.
Yeah, well, Eric and Chris, thanks for allowing us to host you here at Bourbon and Boards. We started this venture about 6 months ago. It was a riff off of my daughter's restaurant around the corner, and we ended up. My wife asked, how do I get you to stay home instead of traveling all the time? And I said, well, of course we got to open a bourbon bar. And about a month later, she said, I think I found the place, and here we are. It took about 3.5 months for us to close on the deal. It took a month for us to paint and do some inventory, and here we are. We do high-end charcuterie. We do have some entrees on the menu as well, but I have an award-winning chef in the kitchen. He's built a wonderful kitchen staff to complement all the bourbon that you'll see on the wall. We have roughly 150 different whiskeys and ryes on the menu. A wine cellar of roughly 700 bottles of wine. So we're not just a bourbon bar. We do have a full bar with wine, and just glad to put us out there on the map and on your podcast.
What's first of all, this place is beautiful in here.
It's awesome.
Where are we at in St. Augustine?
We're on 17 King Street. It's right downtown, right across the street from the plaza. It's a wonderful view of anything that you would want to see in downtown St. Augustine. It's historic, big view, big bay windows, view of the ocean, of the St. John's River, intercoastal, right next to the Lions Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
It is beautiful down here.
I would say, my favorite thing is coming down to St. Augustine, walking down, the main road, and then, of course, because it always ends right at the square. And I was like, might as well stop at Bourbon and Boards.
Yeah. I mean, it's right next to the oldest street in America, Bailey's, the oldest known street in America. So there's a lot of rich history right at this location, and just happy to have you.
Thank you very much. So if you guys may come down to St. Augustine and bring your, I know for us anyway, when we have people come from out of town, that's all they ever want to do is come to St. Augustine.
Yes.
Yep.
So what about you, Matt?
So I'm Matt. I work with Southern Glazier's Wine and Spirits in the Transatlantic dedicated division. So I get the pleasure of selling, these brands here, the Elijah Krew from the Heaven Hill portfolio, and then Angel's Envy, which is from the Bacardi portfolio. So I love these particular two brands, and I'm a pretty big brown water fan myself. So thank you so much for having me on, and I'm looking forward to it.
Sure. All right. So then, all these 4 beautiful bottles in front of us. Which one are we starting with, Matt?
So we're going to start with the Angel's Envy bourbon. That's what kind of where we'll start with that one, and it's kind of Angel's Envy's got a pretty cool story to it behind it. Lincoln Henderson, who is from Brown-Forman, spent many years at Brown-Forman as their master distiller, and always had a vision to do a secondary kind of maturation process with bourbon. And so after his retirement, after 40 years as master distiller at Brown-Forman, he decided to, after a couple of years, him and his son, Wes, decided to start up, Angel's Envy, because again, they really had that goal of secondary maturation. So, if you don't know who Lincoln Henderson is, and if you haven't heard Brown-Forman, obviously it's a very large, bourbon distillery and everything as well. But Lincoln Henderson is the guy behind Gentleman Jack, and is also the guy behind Woodford Reserve. So after he left, Brown-Forman for a while and wanted to start up Angel's Envy, obviously his name was pretty already well known around the Kentucky region, that he can already produce some pretty good bourbon. So Angel's Envy was created after that, and that's where we're at. Again, all of our finishes, all of our products have a secondary finish, and this one, the Angel's Envy port that we're gonna have, is actually a secondary finish in port wine. So it is the mash bill on that is a 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. Sitting at a nice, good introductory one of 86.6 proof on that. And so we'll kind of taste it out and maybe go through some nose and palates and finishes. And
Awesome.
that work?
I dig it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, let's do it.
So you'll kind of notice too, like right off the rip, whistle there. You'll kind of notice too right off the rip is it's got a gorgeous light amber color to it, and that's going to be a lot from those port wine barrels, and that's where you're going to get that gorgeous color from.
It seems like Angel's Envy was one of the pioneers, the first ones to start doing the secondary finishing. I mean, it's interesting that it's everywhere today, but back 2011, back when they started, that
Right.
it was something.
Yep.
So so the secondary finishing that kind of smooths it out, kind of rounds out the bourbon.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll agree, and I never like to put words or taste buds in anybody's mouth, but before they try it. But I think you'll definitely agree that these two that we're going to taste here are rounded out very nicely because of their secondary finishes, for sure.
All right, let's nose it.
If I didn't pour enough, please feel free to get a little bit more in there.
Okay.
Just right off the rip, it doesn't have that typical bourbon
Right.
nose to it.
No, yeah,
It's
yeah.
obvious it's different.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
The nose that I get a lot of is vanilla, for sure. But I also get kind of like golden raisins a little bit, which again, I have a little bit of wine background as well, so that's where I have a whole wheel I can get into, right? but I get a lot of times people say, caramel or those kind of stronger notes, but to me I think I get some raisins, just because you think of raisins as a little bit softer, obviously a grape, and so that's kind of some of the notes that I get on the nose.
I get a little bit of sweetness, must be from that port.
Yeah. Sure. Cheers.
It's
Cheers.
funny, I
Yeah.
said golden raisins. I still.
Cheers, y'all. Cheers.
I'm all up in your face like. Golden raisins. That's a good pull. I like that.
Yeah. And most people probably like golden raisins. I thought raisins are brown, but no, they have the golden ones out there as well.
No, it's like childhood. It comes flashing back because we've got the little stuff-made raisin boxes.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's funny. As you just said that, that's the hardest thing that I have a problem with. It's like just pulling, I'm tasting something different or nosing something, but can't place exactly where it is.
So what I kind of got started with is you can print them offline, find them offline. These wheels that have 100, 150. You can start basic and have a little bit less of flavor profiles on that, and that's just really kind of how you learn, in my opinion. Get a wheel that sits in front of you and a quiet spot so you don't have anybody influencing you, and taste it or you'll smell it and go, oh, that's what I smell, and then you just kind of train your nose over time to know, oh, that's what a golden raisin smells like, or that's what a plum smells like, or the other cool I wanted to talk interesting fact. So on the cork, I know you probably won't be able to see it on the camera or whatnot, but there's a 10 out of 10 or a 10-10 on there on the cork of every bourbon.
Oh wow, that's
and
cool.
That an interesting fact was the original release date, was the intended release date for the Angel's Envy bourbon. But as we've kind of noted that Lincoln and Wes, especially Lincoln's, his thought process is, well, it's not done until it's finished, right? So that was always Lincoln Henderson's thing. Is it's we got to go until it's finished, and when it was finished for him, that's when it was ready to go to production and bottling. So so they wanted to keep the 10-10 date, even though it was not ended up being released on October 10th, just to kind of pay homage to that's who Angel's Envy is. We'll put it in the bottle when we think it's ready to go in the bottle. So that's kind of cool. They put a 10-10 and they kept it on there. And then also Lincoln Henderson is one of the original inaugural members of the Bourbon Hall of Fame.
Right.
So that's kind of cool too.
awesome.
I mean, obviously if you work for Brown Forman for so long, you made such great bourbon and whiskey from there, and then you move on to Angel's Envy. I think you should be put into the Hall of Fame pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that's another cool thing.
Yeah.
So Troy, knowing that you serve ports here, and this is finished in a port barrel.
Correct.
Do you have at Bourbon Boards? Do you have a charcuterie board that would pair well with a port or this port finished?
Absolutely. I would put our traditional board on the table with a neat pour of Angel's Envy, and it would pair fabulous with the different cheeses.
That's awesome.
We got some really good meats on that board, prosciuttos and different things like that that'll pair well with this. Just
Is it
because
lunchtime yet? Or?
Just because that port wine finish is going to give you enough sweetness to counterbalance that traditional.
Awesome. So just an absolute another reason to come to Bourbon and Boards in St. Augustine.
For sure.
To have some Angel's Envy and crush a charcuterie board.
That's right.
I like it.
Awesome. Well, you want to head into the rye?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, this is one of my favorite ryes out in the market. And I'm not saying that because I sell it. I'm saying that because that's what I believe and I think it's true.
Okay.
So this is 95% rye and then 5% malted barley. So I want you guys to get the nose on it first before I kind of really go into anything more, because this is an extremely unique rye. So, you know, again, that's kind of, it is 100 proof, so we've gone up a little bit in, you know, in proof and ABV, but truly a unique rye because of this maturation process. You know, it's a 6 to 7 year rye, and then spends up to 18 months in Caribbean rum cask.
So much longer.
Much longer. Yep.
Okay.
It's weird. Off the initial nose, I get like a white pepper
Okay.
kind of a thing, which might not make any sense.
No, like, no,
but
you know, white pepper is usually consistent with a rye.
That's right.
Yeah. Spice. Yeah. Yep.
There's always a
Yeah.
spicy component to a rye.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, like you said, like, you know, it's funny, like you said, that smell, that, you know, that peppery and a little bit of, like, you know, that spice, but, you know, there's a sweetness that kind of overtakes that at the end.
Right, like an underpowering. Yeah, like obviously ryes are baking spices kind of thing, but
Yeah.
like lower toned.
Yeah,
baking
it's
spice.
very subdued. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, you know, you said, there's a sweet overtone.
I
Yep.
hate saying baking spice because that's so many ryes, but because it's so cliche, like baking spice.
Right.
But
Well,
I mean, it is kind of that.
But it's there for a
Like,
reason.
these assholes don't know at all what they're talking about. We
Rye
just
is
said
rye.
baking
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
the finish on this is, and I think that's why it's one of my favorite ryes on the market right now as well, is because you still get the rye feel, but you get such a better finish with this rye. And I am a big fan of ryes, but Angel's Envy is way up on my list.
let's get into it.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
oh god, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's significantly different than other ryes I've had too. And even that peppery thing, when you take a good nose of it, it gets you in the back where your throat meets your nose, like pepper would.
Yep.
And then still on the taste, it has that back of the throat pepper bite to it. It's not overpowering by any means, but you can tell it's there. It's really good. Really
Right.
good.
Absolutely fabulous.
So now the same thing, like, you know, this rye, I get heavy molasses. You know,
Like
and brown
don't.
sugar.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I
You
know.
know,
I know. How am I
You're
getting-
not weird. It's weird that you get heavy and I don't get any.
Oh, I do. I get a lot.
you know what a lot of people get, which is one of my favorite notes that I get, and it's not because other people said it. I got it first before I heard it from others. Is maple syrup.
I do get, now that I had a drink and I know
The nose and then the palate. To me, maple syrup was the first thing that pops out.
Yeah.
which is, maple syrup doesn't have molasses in it, does it?
No.
No,
No.
I mean not real maple syrup. Some of the other stuff out there might.
It's just, again, I find it to be very appealing for a rye. People kind of tend to shy away from ryes because of the heat
100%.
that comes with it.
100%.
And
Yeah.
this is something that you could go right into it and you wouldn't be scared to go to the
No,
next
no,
rye.
no.
My girlfriend
No,
hates
I think
rice.
you're perfect.
Hates rice. We drink that often.
I just said, I think you're perfect.
Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
You're a Vikings fan.
Right? I think you're perfect. No, I think what you just said was spot on, sir.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good introduction to rye.
100%.
Like I said,
It's not overpowering. I think it's super good.
jump
This
in,
is-
taste it. Like you said, it has those other notes, kind of like, you know, kind of sweetens it up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's solid.
For your fans out there, if I was going to go into explore ryes, this would be the place I'd go.
All right. So what's next, Matt?
So we're going to go into Elijah Krew, and Elijah Krew again is one of my favorite brands. It is from the Heaven Hill Distillery, which is out of Bardstown, Kentucky, and Elijah Krew is one of their brands. We'll kind of talk about a little bit about Heaven Hill. If we can back up just a little bit about talk about the brand and everything first. The parent company and whatnot. So Heaven Hill was started back by the Shapiro brothers in 1935. What's funny is the Shapiro brothers were, they sold trinkets and mattress stores and kind of stuff like that before they got into bourbon, right? So how weird to take that jump from selling mattresses or trinkets or stores, right? And then just kind of saying, yeah, we're all in for some bourbon.
So the leap.
Right, 100%. And then recently after Prohibition too. So like
right, yeah, I was gonna say just after Prohibition,
right?
A couple of years after.
Yep. So they dove into the deep end, all right, as we like to say. But so largest family owned in the United States, but they hold the second most amount of bourbon in the entire world. So that's
something.
That's something, right? They know what they're doing. They jumped from the deep end again back in 1935, and they've been doing an awesome job ever since then.
He's the godfather, though, right? Elijah Krew.
So Elijah Krew,
the father of bourbon.
So Elijah Krew is known, to be the father of bourbon.
Yeah.
So
Right? Is it true?
Yeah.
Nobody knows for sure.
Could be the godfather, right? But yeah, he's known as the father of bourbon. It says that on the front of the bottle there, because he's known as the first one to char the barrels. So he had his distillery back in 1789. That date is proudly embossed there on the front of the bottle. And again, before that, we were all just kind of drinking clear whiskey, right? Clear spirit.
Moonshine.
Right? Yeah, moonshine, right? Yep. So Elijah Krew is known to Reverend. We should say Reverend.
Yeah. He's a Baptist minister.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So who knows? Making whiskey during the week and then preaching on Sunday. So good for him.
God made wine.
Right. Yeah. 100%. So that's kind of a little bit of the history about Elijah Krew. This one is a mash bill that most of Heaven Hill's products are, and that's 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. The small batch that we're going to taste here is at a 94 proof. So we went a little bit, 86.6 up to 100, but again, I think that 100 proof was really smooth. So we're going to go back to a 94 proof and just kind of see what we think of there.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's do it.
It's a solid transition there.
Yeah.
Like, what? I think he's done this before.
Mm-hmm. Normal tastings, would you do, if you were doing a normal tasting, is that something you would do? Go down in proof?
I would go up in proof, right? So I'd start at the lower proof amount and then move my way up. Now, obviously I'm sure there are quite a bit of self-connoisseurs or, self-taught individuals out there that at some point, like I kind of did today, you know what you're tasting, and so you might move the order around, but general rule of thumb, right, is you start on your lower proof and kind of work your ways up. Or if your proofs are all very similar, maybe you end with ryes, because again, you're usually getting those spicy notes.
Right.
But the higher proof ones could alter some taste buds, as you move along. So you want to save those usually for the end.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, for sure. So that's good. Yeah, what do you guys think about this one?
Like you said, a little bit of sweetness on the first, but then you get the the sweet vanilla, and then it's that familiar bourbon smell.
Yeah, I definitely get the vanilla on this one.
Yeah. Some sweet fruits.
Yep.
Some cherries. We could throw a raisin out there if you want to, but not as much.
Not a golden
raisin.
raisin. Not a golden raisin.
Not at all.
Honestly, don't know what I smell. I smell food back there.
I did that. The kitchen started. Yeah. Now they're really making us hungry.
Sorry, the kitchen's prepping right now. We are running a functioning restaurant.
That's right. That's right.
What the hell am I trying to say right now?
So the Elijah Krew is an 8 to 12 year blend. So you are you have some upwards of 12 years in there. So I think that's where you're going to start to get some of that smoothness.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Is the age in the barrels for sure.
And remember, you can get any of these Heaven Hill products right here at Bourbon and Boards.
There you go.
Nailed it. Well done, sir. Well done, sir.
Kind of talk about Heaven Hill again. Won Distiller of the Year and Sustainability Distiller of the Year in 2023 by Whiskey Magazine. So not only are they making good bourbon and good whiskey, but they're doing it the right way too.
Yep.
Which I think is important in the carbon footprint world now that we're all trying to behave and everything as well. So Do we want to do a water with this or an ice cube with this? I think this would be kind of interesting to test, right? We haven't done one yet, so it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I might. I
you need a little more. We can do that.
You guys did the same thing.
Eric really enjoyed it without a cube.
I mean, might as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just see what it does.
You hit on Matt. You hit on the toasted side of Elijah Craig, and I just want to let you know that I think the toasted Elijah Craig is fabulous for cocktails. We do a s'mores old fashioned here at Bourbon and Boards with the toasted, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
just makes well with a cocktail.
Right,
Sure.
and like because there's a difference between like just a charred and a toasted barrel, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the charred barrel only takes minutes.
That's
Right.
right.
Then the toasted barrel that takes could take almost up to an hour because you're getting that that heat goes more into the wood.
Right.
So you're imparting more flavors.
Yep.
Than as long as it's in that toasted.
Yeah, and most distilleries that are doing a toasted do either one or two levels up, right? There's different levels of char,
Right.
And that's kind of why why it's differentiated between their normal release versus their toasted release. So yeah. Whoa.
So, are we a fan of?
Okay.
Obviously, we're a fan of with ice,
Yeah. So
with the
full
Elijah
melt,
Craig,
I think it's
with a
gone.
small batch.
So full melt, add ice. What do you think?
I think I'm no ice guy on this.
I'm definitely a no ice guy, and it's just because I'm a no ice guy on any
That's the normal now. Yeah. Yep.
bourbon that
I
I'm
think it
drinking.
tames it too much.
Come taste
I can
it.
drink it.
Cheers to that.
Right. So last, I have kind of a special treat. So this is from it's an account that I've had for a little bit of Elijah Craig. It's a small batch. So this is a 9-year-old. So get no blending here. So it's 9 years.
Okay.
And ready for this one, 130 proof.
This is going to be hot.
Wow, I'm excited. I usually tend to
Yeah.
like hotter better.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I really want to do is taste it raw first, right?
Of course, yes.
Let's see.
Let's do it.
Yes.
And then I will promise you the ice on this one will help out a little bit.
So out of the 4 bottles, this is probably the one that really needs ice.
100%.
Okay.
And again, not because you're you took ice, you're weak, no, because it's a strong proof. So
Well,
it's
130 proof.
it's needed.
That's high. That's high for any any kind of spirit, though, isn't it? 130 proof?
It's one of the higher private barrels that I've seen. That's for sure.
So this one's a barrel proof, you said?
Correct.
barrel proof, single
Barrel proof, single barrel. So it was
You're not
picked-
getting it anywhere else.
Yep, not getting anywhere else. Extremely unique. And like I said, you have a few here as well.
I do.
So let's again.
Yeah.
Let's nose it.
Well, it's funny because
What's
off the
in
nose,
it?
I don't smell all that heat.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not getting 130 right
No,
off.
That's why
I know, me neither.
this particular, when we tasted this sample before it came into the barrel, I was like, man, it doesn't taste kind of like where it's at.
Yeah.
So
You know what I smell?
What?
This might be really weird, but like a burnt toast,
it's wrong.
Toast?
Yeah.
like a a darker burnt toast.
Elijah Craig's tasting notes. You get obviously all the distilleries put out kind of what they have when they want
Right.
it. So Elijah Craig's regular tasting notes are on the 94, slightly toasty. So now you're increasing, you get a 9-year, and you're increasing the proof. Your nose isn't that far off. You're smelling. If
Well,
the
it's
94
been
proof is
before.
slightly toasty, then the 130 proof probably toasty.
One
The
thing,
greatest noser ever.
one thing about nosing bourbons, and I think a lot of people fail to realize, is when you're nosing, and this is true to wine as well, is you want to open your mouth.
100%.
If you don't
Yep.
open your mouth, you're
Yep.
not getting that nose isn't getting all the way to your throat. So
Yeah, the back.
You got to taste it.
Your
You can
sense-
actually taste it.
Your senses need to work.
Yeah.
like
Okay.
they're
Let your
supposed to.
senses
Yeah.
do the work for you.
100%.
Well, I think that's the same thing. Like once you you taste it, right? I think it's breathing out your nose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before
You want-
before
yeah.
exhaling.
You
right?
want your sinuses to
Yeah.
do their job,
Yes,
right? You want the
exactly.
nose and the mouth to work
Yep,
together.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're right, Troy.
All right, so
Let's
are we
get it.
tasting?
Yeah, let's get
yeah,
it.
let's do it.
Still something I'm nosing. I can't figure it out.
It's definitely got more heat than anything we've had today.
It's hot because it's 130 proof.
Yeah.
But it's not, to me, it's not burning. Going
No.
down. Like
No,
it's still
It's really flavorful
Really
though.
smooth.
Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of flavor on when it hits the back of your throat.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing too that I think that's important because you can have high proof, but when you taste nothing but alcohol, you don't get any of the flavors still. This is different. Where like I feel a tingle, like obviously of the high proof, but I still get flavors that are still kind of like lingering. It's still kind of like hanging out for a while.
Yeah.
It's actually got a really long finish for 100.
It does.
It really
Yeah.
does. Yeah,
It's
kinda,
still
it's
hanging
got that
out.
like buttery thickness. to it,
100%.
which is-
Yes.
It wants you to
Takes a
take
while.
another drink.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
definitely wants you to take another drink.
Yeah. Now I do call, so when I get up above 120, I call these sip it on the couch sipper, sippers, because you don't want to be having one or two of these and then
That's right.
and being out in public.
Or
Yeah.
the best is like
disagree.
it's like
Drink responsibly.
Please
Whiskey and
drink
Hammock
responsibly.
says-
Thank you.
Whiskey and Hammock says drink responsibly.
That's
well,
like
yeah,
Yogi
if
says,
you
don't
get
set
above-
forest on.
That's right.
120 proof. That's when you sit in your hammock.
Exactly.
Right?
You ain't
Yeah.
going nowhere.
Yeah.
There you
Nowhere
go.
to go. Sit in your hammock. Put this in your glass, or like you said, you have the bottles right in that pocket,
There you go.
in the whiskey pocket, and you're good to go.
In our specific whiskey and a hammock, there's plenty of room for that bottle right there.
Perfect.
All right,
Where can I get a whiskey and a hammock?
Eric? No, it's like-
It's odd that you mentioned that.
Wait a minute.
Wait a second. So you can find all your whiskey and a hammock merch, including the hammock, and flip-flops if you want them,
Oh.
on whiskeyandhammock.com/store. So like I said, we got hats, glasses, these super dope SPF shirts, Chris's t-shirt.
Yeah, I like
We
that.
got our Whiskey and a Hammock Venture backpack,
Yep.
which you can also fit that beautiful bottle into.
Love it.
Definitely.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, X. Facebook, X.
Yeah, it's still
Instagram.
Twitter.
Still Twitter.
It's still Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Twitter
Twitter,
still a thing?
Butt X. Yeah.
X,
Twitter,
yeah.
butt X.
The bird, Twitter, yeah. whatever.
Instagram, Twitter,
TikTok?
Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're getting some steam on TikTok. I like it.
That's the only social media I have is TikTok.
Well, not for long, pal.
Not for long.
And whiskeyandhammock.com and whiskeyandhammock.com/store for all your fantastic merch.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the hat. I like that. Let's open it up a little bit. You want a little bit of ice?
Yes.
Actually, I do, but I
do,
like
but
it a
no.
lot without ice.
No, so do I. I mean, everything on this table I don't need ice for, but again, I with the 100 proof, or 130 proof, I just want to see what we all think about, how it opens up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, bummer.
Oh, what?
All right.
Wait, okay, Eric, Eric did it on purpose. I see that.
Oh, no.
A little tab more. Yeah. All right. Let's pass that ice
right,
down.
no,
Oh, sorry. I
Ice
had
it
the
up.
ice. Sorry.
So obviously now whiskey hammock, that's one thing that we do. It's like we'll try it neat, straight from the bottle, and then we add ice, like you see how it tastes, and almost like a full melt, see how much it changes.
I like your ice bucket too, man. It's nice.
Yeah, that's
I almost said thanks.
I'm gonna work with this company I know called Whiskey and Hammock on
Get that.
branding. I'm doing a VIP area where I'm gonna brand all of my stuff,
There you
ice
go.
buckets,
All right.
There it
and,
is.
and shakers,
Shakers,
and all that
everything,
stuff. That way you can rent out a little space at the restaurant, and you'll be using Whiskey and a Hammock
I like
to
it.
make your cocktails.
I like it.
Perfect.
I think that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
It is a
It's a
great
good
idea.
collab.
Good idea.
Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Well done.
Putting an ice cube in it, it smooths it out, but you're still getting all that amazing
flavor,
flavor
yeah.
that came from this barrel pick.
For
It's absolutely fabulous. You're still getting the 130 proof. It's not overpowering your throat.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
You know?
This is really
So,
good.
Yeah.
I like it a lot without ice.
No, I agree. I think without ice, I like it better.
But with ice, it opens it up a
It
lot.
does, but
It
no,
does.
I enjoy the heat.
Yeah.
I do too.
But it's not. It's the heat, but it's not. It's
It's
not
not
killing you.
overpowering heat.
I enjoy heat as well, but I actually this one right here I do enjoy with the cube. It's opened it up a little bit.
I get more.
I get more flavor. I can
Yeah.
feel that
There
flavor.
is.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I think
what
I
you-
would put ice. I think I would put ice in here.
I start to again. I'm not maybe not like on the rocks.
No,
definitely.
I want a few
Small
drops.
cubes.
Yeah,
that's
very.
right.
Or just not a gentleman's cube, but just enough to open it up.
It
Because
doesn't.
you start to get more. You start. Again, cliche sayings like caramel.
Yes.
But it's true. Like you
Yeah.
really, it opens it up a little bit, and you get those awesome, those palate notes. Yeah.
It's interesting for me because I like rye and I like heat. High proof and rye, I'll drink it all day. But with this one, I'm like, man, that cube really made it.
Yeah.
Because I can taste those flavors now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I have a couple high proof stuff here that I would never put a cube on. But this is really, really good.
I think a couple dabs of water instead of an ice cube would
Could be,
Maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that could make the world.
A couple
difference.
drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap this up. I want to thank Matt, from Southern Glacier,
Pleasure.
for coming out here and bringing these bottles for us, to taste. And where can we find you guys?
Yeah, so awesome. So if you want to find out more about the Angels Envy and kind of what they're about and everything, please go to angelsenvy.com. There's a lot of it's a great website. You can see a lot about Louisville. You can see a lot about Lincoln Henderson and how kind of the whole Angels Envy story. And then for the rest of Elisha Craig and the rest of our the portfolio from Heaven Hill, please head to heavenhilldistillery.com. And you'll be able to see a ton more items from Heaven Hill and what they do there with their brown spirits and all that. So yeah, I thank you so much for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It was a blast.
It's a pleasure.
Love having
Anytime I can taste bourbon and talk about bourbon, sign me up.
And anytime I can have you in Bourbon Boards, I love that.
Great.
Here we go.
So I would also like to thank Troy from Bourbon and Boards for having us out here and hosting this event today. This place is freaking incredible, and I can't wait to come here and eat.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to thank Eric and Chris, Matt, obviously, for enjoying this podcast. It's been a pleasure to share and learn from other individuals that want to enjoy brown spirits. And Heaven Hill is just a fabulous product that we obviously house here. But please come see us, 17 King Street here in St. Augustine, Florida. We have high-end charcuterie boards. We have high-end entrees. Think of it as fine dining with a little bit of bourbon, or a lot of bourbon, however you want to see that. Just find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Facebook. Other than that, come enjoy some spirits with us.
This place is incredible, and they have a hell of a selection of wines. They have a hell of a selection of bourbons and other spirits, and their charcuterie boards are incredible. So if you're ever in St. Augustine, or if you want to just enjoy the atmosphere of bourbon and St. Augustine, this is 1,000% somewhere where you need to go and experience. So with Whiskey and a Hammock, you can find us on whiskeyandhammock.com, whiskeyandhammock.com/store for all your fantastic Whiskey and Hammock merch. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and by darn it, I think this is our sign-off. So Chris, hit us with the motto on the way out, bro.
So, may the wind always wear your hammock, and may your glass never go dry. Cheers,
Cheers,
everybody.
boys. Cheers.
There you go.
That was a far reach. Cheers, John.
And we may enjoy some Heaven Hill products as we sign off.
Ba, ba, da, ba, 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 ba.